Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Trash Talking podcast. I'm your host, Stu, or you may know me as SMTV. Do you like metal and alternative music? What about gigs and festivals? If you also like film and TV, video games, and a healthy dose of 90s nostalgia, I think you've found your new favourite podcast. Shall we get to Trash Talking? Trash Talking! Trash Talking! Trash Talking! Trash Talking! Yes, hello, welcome to Trash Talking Podcast. Today I was joined by the legends in the Ragamuffins. Alex, James and Dan were incredible and took the time to come and talk to me about their YouTube upbringing, how they came to be, and what is a ragamuffin. What is it? Do I know? I'm not sure I still know. It was great to chat to them. Incredible guys. Love them. You'll love them too. So I hope you enjoy. But before we get into the episode and the interview, I cannot and I will not proceed without thanking my incredible patrons. I love you all. You are all incredible. It's good to see a number of other people joining on the £1 tier, the SMTV Appreciation Society. So thank you all so much. You are keeping the ball rolling and I love you all so much. So a number of you have got the podcast shout out tier. So we have Ethan Brown, Sean Schofield, the legendary Alexander Toon, and the one, the only Vicky Rutter. We have an additional, and I'd love to say I know who you are, but you signed up with Apple ID. So according to this, you are just letters and numbers, and your name is Call of Booty. So thank you very much. Make yourself known to me because I'd love to know who you are, and I guarantee I will know who you are. So thank you all so much, and without further ado, let's get into the episode. So, welcome the Ragamuffins.
Oh yeah, good to be here. It's about time.
Here they are. We're finally meeting in person, we can say, over Discord. It's good to see you all. So all I want to ask today is, who the fuck are the Ragamuffins? I'm hoping we can answer that tonight.
We'll get to the bottom of that.
So
I've been asking that myself, to be fair. We need to find out who we are.
Been a good few years and still
This is
we
like
don't know.
This is like a self-discovery session.
It's going to be like therapy. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, can I get the classic Ragamuffin introduction from you? Can I get you three of you to introduce yourselves?
I'm Alex.
I'm James.
And I'm Dan.
And we're the Ragamuffins.
Perfect.
We've sat in order as well. That wasn't even deliberate.
No, you're just so
by
in
default,
sync.
Yeah.
I think it's just automatic
just-
default now. Every time we record, we have to go in the right order.
It's like how
Yeah.
Ant and Dex stand on like the same side of each other every time. Except there's
That's
three of
it,
us.
Yeah. So they've bought you many a festival gig and vlog, along with the Ragamuffins podcast. It is an absolute pleasure to finally have you here. And can you just tell me, how did the Ragamuffins come to be? How did you meet?
Well, he's my brother.
Unfortunately.
So,
Right.
known him since he was born. Unfortunately. Wow. Jeez.
That was an easy enough introduction, yeah.
Yeah. And then I met Dan at sixth form at our school. He came over to our sixth form from a different school that he was at. And from there, I think we started a basic conversation about general rock music, like when you're kind of testing the boundaries of people's music when they listen to it. It was like Foo
It
Fighters,
started
Red Hot Chili
tame. I think
Peppers.
we realised that we liked rock music. So we started by talking about like Foo Fighters and Chili Peppers and sort of more of the tamer stuff to start with. And then I think one of us was sort of started to poke the bear a bit more and sort of discovered that we both like some heavier stuff as well.
And that was it
Awesome.
from there.
Yeah,
And then,
the rest is history.
And now we're on the Trash Talking podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Here we are.
Look at you guys.
I think, yeah, like at that point, not long after, we started doing gigs together. Then you kind of joined in and started coming with. And then it was one fateful night in London seeing Nick Deep at Kentish Town Forum, where just, I think in the lineup, kind of like queuing in to go into the gig, we were like, oh, we need to kind of have a name for our little group. This was before the podcast, before pandemic and everything.
Yeah.
It was like little name for our gig group. And I can't remember who it was suggested it, but Ragamuffins got put up. And then from there, it was like, yeah, that kind of fits. And that was essentially the birth of it all.
It's pretty much
Yeah.
a word that
Oh,
like
awesome.
didn't really mean anything. It was just a silly word. And we were
Yeah.
like, yeah, that'll do.
Yeah. because that was going to be my next question. Like, why the Ragamuffins? And it was just sounded funny.
I think so. Well, this is a bit of Ragamuffins lore, but like back in the day, we used to go to gigs. There was a fourth member, I guess. My friend Charlie. So it was like these two were the same year at school. Me and my mate were the same year at school. So we were like the little brothers, like tagging along basically. And he's just quite naturally whimsical. So he just said it like just to be silly, I think, and then it just sort of stuck. And then that's just how we referred it. It was like, oh, are the Ragamuffins assembling for this gig? And then it just like that sort of thing just eventually stuck. And now here we are.
Yeah, cool. And why the cat logo as well? Just out of curiosity.
Isn't it, a ragamuffin?
Yeah, I think when we looked into it, that's actually
that's actually what it is.
a breed
so,
of cat. So that
okay, well that kind of just makes sense.
And I'm a cat person anyway, so
there you go.
Just made sense.
Yeah,
easy choice, easy decision to make.
Yeah, I mean it looks great. It's just one of those logos that you don't know why it came to be, but you've got it and it just works.
It's literally like you see the first design we came up with as well. Like most like graphic designers and stuff will like design multiple logos and be like, oh, maybe this one, or we'll alter this one slightly. We literally made the first logo and we were like, that's the one, that'll do.
Like seeing it at I saw it myself at Download. Obviously, we unfortunate enough not to bump into each other at Download, but I kept seeing your stickers everywhere, and it's one of those you just spot it and you just know it's you guys.
I kept putting ours next to yours deliberately as well.
Yeah. Started a bit of a sticker war. We'll have to do that again.
Oh, for sure,
Definitely.
for sure.
Yeah. Are you doing Download next year? Planning to?
I think literally we were talking about it a bit beforehand with the announcement about Outbreak today being on the same weekend. I think it's very much we need to see, like at time of recording, the Download announcements tomorrow night. So I think it's a little bit of seeing what happens with that. I think I saw in the comments of the Outbreak thing that they're releasing in the next 2 weeks. And it's just like, okay, what's gonna draw us more and kind of get an idea of where we're actually gonna be. So we're not actually sure where we'll be that weekend yet, whether we'll be London and then zooming off to Manchester potentially, or whether we'll be in Derby at Donington.
I think ideally we'd love to be able to do both, but yeah, I guess we'll see.
It's going to be a decision.
Tough decision, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if I can just ask, how did you actually get into the YouTube scene? Like, were there any other creators at the time that you were watching that made you think, I could do that?
Well, I mean, when we first started out, we didn't really have any intention of being where we are now. We pretty much just started just through lockdown. It was kind of like every time we'd go to gigs, we'd be like on the way there, just talking about music, being like, oh, have you checked out this new song from this band? Oh, have you heard this album? Oh, did you see this band's going on tour? So during lockdown, we kind of just had the idea to just have those conversations anyway and just record them like over Discord and then just put them out into the public anyway, see if anyone actually cared at all. And people did listen. So we kind of just kept on with that. And then when gigs finally did come back around again, we decided, well, why not like make vlogs? I mean, I'd been watching TPD for a couple of years and some other creators as well. And just thought, well, if they're doing it, why can't we do it as well? Like we might as well just keep this ball rolling and expand and diversify the content a bit and try these other things as well.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to be working. You're over 1.5 thousand subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's you're doing well. You're smashing it.
Yeah, definitely been a learning curve, I think, as well. Because then, like after that, with the gig vlogs, kind of getting the idea of like, okay, well, what else can we do? And let's do this, and then let's start looking at interviews with like bands and stuff. So it's been a constant thing where I think it's nice that like for three of us doing it together, we're pretty much always like on the same page with ideas. Like one of us could float an idea, and the other two be like, yeah, that sounds sick. Let's do that. And so I think like it's been nice to have that natural progression as months will go on. It's like, okay, how about we try this, and then let's try that. So I think it's just been kind of a pleasure, to be fair, and it's been easy. I think really like doing it the three of us together.
Just comes so naturally. You just get on so well that you know what the others are going to be thinking. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. A lot of the time as well, we'll have same ideas.
Yeah, there's so many times. I mean, even right at the start, I remember James and I went to the pub when you were allowed to socially distance in a pub garden for a short amount of time. And he said, oh, you didn't hear it from me, but Alex has been thinking of starting a music podcast. And I was already writing a blog at the time. And I said, well, I've had the same thought. I've been thinking that the next step from a written format is to record stuff as well. So
Yeah.
and like so even right from the start, we've often had the same ideas individually, and when we pitched them to each other, it's been like, yeah, I've been thinking about that. I've got some notes about it already.
Yeah, as if it
So-
was just fate. It was
Yeah.
meant to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you all get on so well, because at least with it just being me, I've got no one to argue with. So my say is the final say.
Here's the plus side of it.
Yeah. That's it. You must be chuffed though. I mean, seeing the success that you've reached, and I can imagine you just getting excited, like messaging each other when you're reaching these milestones, just like the excitement in your messages and that.
Like I think there was, what was it? The first year of downloads, was it 22? We hit, was it a certain sub goal? Was it 500?
I think it might have been less. I think we hit like 200 while we were at
something like that,
download.
and
we were over the
Yeah.
moon with that. We
I
were
mean-
like, oh, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And it, like that was one of the first times that someone sort of recognised this as well from the
Yeah.
podcast. Like, oh, I listened to your podcast. Literally that same day as well, we hit 200. Which, looking back now,
Yeah.
now we're on 1.5k, which still isn't a huge number, but like to us, that's just
Grand scheme,
incredible.
but to you guys and to myself as well, like those smaller milestones, it just means so much, doesn't it? And
Completely agree, because I
it
think
makes
like,
you realise.
what we all do, especially, can be quite niche, and it
Yeah.
very much caters towards a certain audience. It's not like a wide thing, a mainstream kind of thing. And so I think like knowing that, obviously you're immediately kind of going to capture a smaller audience. Anything you kind of get back from that, any kind of comments that come on something, likes, views, subs, whatever it may be, like those, even the little things like really matter more, I think. And
Yeah.
it's still to this day, like something will happen and we'll have the excitement for it. We'll message into our group chat and it would just be like, oh, sick, this has happened. So I think like having that excitement and enjoyment still, like 4 odd years later, like it's still there, which is, again, we do it for the love of it and just enjoy music.
Yeah, and it helps it so much, doesn't it? Just having the love for it. Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
100%.
I mean, you guys going to be are you actually working with festivals next year on the route?
We're kind of looking to plans for that at the moment.
Yeah.
Like we have done the past couple of years. We've worked with some certain festivals, kind of had press for a couple of them. So it's definitely, I think, on the agenda for next year.
Yeah.
We've been talking to Slam Dunk a bit, haven't we?
We have.
Doing some things for them. I think Burn It Down is probably looking likely as well.
Yeah, and then I think some new ones
good.
actually. I think we're going to look into.
Let's
a
hope
little
so,
bit
yeah.
and see what happens. But again, like those kind of things, like we paid to go to like Download in 2019, and
Yeah.
paid to go to Slam Dunk, and you paid to go to all these festivals. So it's been quite like a privilege that I think we definitely don't take lightly. That when we get those opportunities, we are incredibly grateful, and then we obviously then want to go above and beyond to do what we can to either promote, show off, and luckily they're all festivals that are absolutely incredible to go to, so it just makes our job really, really easy with that. And you can tell, I think, especially in the vlogs, of just how much we're enjoying being there in itself anyway.
No, for sure. And when you say you want to do the best possible job you can, I would watching your videos as they came out. I've been watching you guys for probably just over a year now, I'd like to think, and the 2 vlogs that stood out the most for me was last year's Slam Dunk and last year's Download. And I must say, like, the graphics of those, obviously you had the... Yeah.
These graphics, boy.
Alex is getting the shout out for this. So the PlayStation and the... Is it like a early Nintendo style graphics that you did?
Oh, the 8-bit stuff
Like-
was down.
Yeah, so some of the Slam Dunk stuff was me
okay.
as well.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing as well. Like I said, we all kind of do our own bit. Like it's not a one-man show at all. Like, we all, sort of chip in where we have our strengths and things.
I think the
But no, the
satisfying
way that-
thing... Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say that, the graphics were astounding, and just thinking outside the box, instead of it just being, I'm taking my camera to a festival, let's record it. Like you truly like dissected the video and you split it into different levels and chapters and whatnot. And it was just great. And it just, that little bit of differentiation from everyone else really makes you stand out. And I just wanted to really say how good it was. And
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to get a bit nerdy and just kind of ask, well, I'll go for it. I don't know if anyone else is interested in how you made them, but I'm just curious what softwares you use to make the graphics.
Most of it's like free, like open. So like a lot of our graphics are done on Canva. I edit on CapCut on my laptop. Dan edits on a free video software as well.
Yeah.
I think
So
that's
that makes it even more impressive, I think. The fact that you're just using free softwares.
Yeah, mine's paid for, but it's like the cheapest possible one you can get.
Yeah.
Like the cheapest professional software there is. I think it's like £8 a month or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing as well. Like to throw back to the really old days when we first did some of the video edits, because me and him have got like Apple stuff. We were doing it just off free iMovie.
Yeah.
And those kind of things, and then just over time how it's developed into different software. Like use CapCut a lot. I've got DaVinci Resolve, and then what was yours? You know,
Power Director by Cyberlink.
So it's like
which sounds fake, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, you just made that up. Yeah.
But it's just like, again, everything's kind of had natural progressions, and like thank you very much for mentioning with the graphics, because it's always something as well that it's almost every few months there's a bit of a discussion of being like, okay, let's upgrade it a little bit and let's try something new with it. So it's definitely something I think is always kind of on the forefront of minds, especially of how like the presentation's gonna be. Like there's a lot of care and thought put into like the end product of what it is.
And you know what? Most of it with the vlogs is for us more than it is our audience. Like, obviously, we want them to enjoy the videos and new and existing viewers to love it. But like, we just want to be satisfied with what we've made as well. And it's so much fun just playing around with all the stupid little graphics and stuff, and just filming each other. And we love watching them all back as well.
Yeah, there's a real joy.
The good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, like we'll do like if I've edited the vlog, I'll screen it to the other two before it like goes out, and we'll usually screen it to our friends as well, because they're obviously in it, so we want to make sure that they're happy with
do you have
how
like
it goes.
a premiere? Do you get together and have a premiere for it?
We do, the three of us sometimes.
Yeah.
And like
that's cool.
I absolutely love like editing something that I know is going to make like one of them laugh, and then as soon as we watch it back, like there's one moment that like some people in the download vlogs, people might not even find it funny. There's a bit in this year's vlog where Dan's at the doghouse. I think it's like the end of night 1 of episode 1, where he's doing like finger guns, and then he like shoots towards the camera, and I put like a really loud gunshot sound in.
And then it just transitions to black, and it's like Friday. and it just cracked me up.
It was just to make ourselves laugh. So like I think a lot of the fun comes from like the challenge of the edit. Like, oh, I want to do this idea. Like making all those video game like character selections was a real undertaking. It probably took me longer than it should have done, and it ended up delaying the vlog coming out, but like it was worth it for us because it was funny.
I think like the cool thing as well, like we get to go and do these things with a lot of our friends as well. Like especially the download ones. And what's quite cool is it's like a video album, and like years down the line we'll look back at the old ones as well, and it's like you'll see moments with your mates and things like that, which like it is quite nice to treasure and go back and look at those things. And like friends have said they've gone back and watched them as well, like even like the ones that they're in. It's like a nice thing that 10, 20 years down the line, like show kids and just be like, hey, look what we used to do, and here's your fun uncle, whoever it is, and that kind of thing. So I think it's quite sweet. Like we get to go back and have that, and it's nicely documented in a really good and fun way.
I totally agree. Like everything's so throwaway now, isn't it? Like you take a picture on your phone and you never look back on that photo ever again. It's just lost in iCloud. You never go back and look at it. So to make these videos, and then the love and effort that goes into editing them, it makes you want to watch them again, and they're just there ready to watch at any time. It's always nice to do a video as well for myself as well, because even just the silly download video I did the other night, my wife put it on the television and my daughter's there going to daddy, and it's just nice to like, even me just being daft on the camera, it's nice to have something to show, if you know what I mean. And
oh no, 100%.
it's great.
It's I think even if there was no one watching, I think we just still find it so rewarding in ourselves what we do. And I think like it's always been the thing that as long as we're enjoying it, that's all that matters. And it's just stayed true to that the entire time, which has been a blessing, really.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Everyone should go and check those videos out. Slam dunk and download, but obviously you've got such a large back catalogue of videos.
We did a Wii Sports theme for 2000 Trees vlog as well.
Yes,
so
yes, I remember that one. That one was good. There's like a running theme with you and Nintendo, isn't it? Are you like a mad Toad fan or something?
We just thought it'd be a fun way to theme it this year, just for
I just seem to see Dan dressed up as Toad many times.
Well,
I
the
don't know what
thing
that
is, when I buy a costume, I can't wear it just once.
You're getting money's worth, yeah.
I'm getting my money's
Alex.
worth out of it. And it was only like 15 quid, but still, I'm
Yeah,
wearing it multiple times.
He was wearing it at
You're
a
going
Halloween
all in.
party a few
Yeah.
weeks ago.
yeah.
I might wear it tomorrow night, just at home.
Just because. Yeah, you should have worked tonight. What's
But
going
I should have done, yeah. It's funny you should say that.
We'll be back after this intermission.
The one annoying thing about doing those graphics was that we didn't decide to do that until after the Slam Dunk video, because obviously Slam Dunk had like a bit of a video game theme to it this year anyway.
Yeah.
There was only like 2 weeks before download where we were like, oh, we should try and do a video game theme through all of the festival vlogs this year, which gave us a very limited amount of time to come up with graphics. So I think next year we're going to try and come up with a theme like a bit further in advance, and hopefully we can do an even better job.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to try and cover all of the festival season? Is that what you're saying? Potentially.
I think as much as we possibly can.
We always try and do as much as we can each year, but it's getting harder and harder to get the time off work, afford all the tickets, just make it happen.
Yeah.
But we'll do as many as we can, I think.
I think we always look to try and do that and do whatever's possible, whether it be festivals, whether it be gigs. To be fair, we've been a bit out of it with gigs recently, I think, just because of festivals being so busy. But I think we're like starting to get back into it again now, which has been nice. So yeah, it'd be as much as we can fit in, and that time will allow, I guess.
If we could try a couple of new ones next summer as well, that would be good. We've got a few,
I'm hoping
a few
to do the
we're
same
keeping an eye
as
out
well.
for.
Yeah.
I got my. You went to Bloodstock this year, didn't you? Am I right in thinking?
Yes.
I've got my eyes on that. What was it like?
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, if anyone asks me what I prefer between Download and Bloodstock, the answer is always Bloodstock now, to be honest. Like the first year I went, the lineup was not necessarily for me. Like the bands that were there was Knocked Loose, Killswitch Engage, and short of that, I'd probably say that was it. That was like the two bands that really I knew enough to say, yeah, I can name a few songs. But even though that was the case, just the festival itself and obviously the friends that I keep, it was just incredible, and I'd recommend it definitely. Have you none of you been to Bloodstock
We've
before?
never been, and I think next year is definitely I'm very interested in. I'm heavily sold on the Trivium headline slot in particular, and then there's like a few on the undercard as well that I'm really really interested by, and it's one that definitely for sure that I think next year, at least for me, I want to make sure I can try and get. Then it'll be the year. We've just got to see what happens with timings, but it's one that I want to do, and I want to enter the binge ousting for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a
I can see you on there.
Oh, I think I do a good job as
Whack
well.
a sticker on the side of the bin and we're sorted.
Oh, let's do it.
There you go. Let's just take our own bin covered in stickers.
Oh, let's do it. We could decorate
Enter
it
our
up.
own bin.
That'd be incredible.
Right then, so if it's okay, we're going to hit you with the Trash Talking podcast questions.
Go for it.
You tell me that you're all prepared for these. So,
well, James said,
should we get into
James said we're all prepared.
I'm prepared.
I'm not
very
so prepared.
prepared.
You're speaking for
you got a
everyone
list.
else, yeah?
I've got a list. I've got notes down here.
Perfect. So, should we go in order of Ragamuffins?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
the order of the Ragamuffins.
order of the Ragamuffins. So, if we can start then, what was your first ever album? Alex, first, please.
The first album, because I've got two older brothers, most of my music was given to me for like
Inherited.
a really good chunk of my life. Yeah. So the first album that I bought on my own was Dear Youth by The Ghost Inside.
Wow.
Because I'd heard.
How old are you? Sorry.
I'm 25.
25. Okay.
So I must have been maybe like 13 or 14 at the time. And I'd heard one single, and I went into our local record shop in our town, and
Shout out Truck.
and
Big up truck.
I've loved it. It was like one of the first tattoos I got was that album name on my leg as well. So yeah, I love it to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was a bit left field. I got a load of albums from like our older brother, and the first one I remember like physical CD buying was the debut Adrenaline Mob album, which some people might not know. I was like growing up like drumming and like double bass. My drum teacher introduced me to Dream Theater, and Mike Portnoy is a drummer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he then had this kind of super group that he set up that was like a bit more towards like a heavy rock kind of thing. And so I was like, let me go get that. It happened to be in truck. And so yeah, it was a bit of a left field one because we already had quite a lot of albums and stuff at home. So I was like, first thing I'm gonna buy with my money. I think it was like right after like my 13th birthday or something. Went and got that,
Yeah.
and yeah, was that one.
I think technically one of the first album I probably bought was one of either Snow Patrol Eyes Open or the self-titled Razorlight album. But those are both really boring ones. So the first one that I remember having a story behind was and we mentioned this on our most recent podcast episode as well, but I was addicted to Welcome to the Black Parade by My Chemical
Yes.
Romance. I was playing it over and over again on YouTube. And when I went to buy the CD, but they wouldn't let me because it had a parental advisory sticker on the cover. I know. What am I going to do? They went, have you got a parent with you? I turned around and pointed at my dad, who genuinely was like behind me the next aisle over, but they weren't having it at all. They said, no, I can't sell you this. So I bought
As
Fall
if.
Out Boy Infinity on High instead,
Still a good choice.
which is a classic.
Yeah, of course. Brilliant. Well, good selection, I'd say. How old are you, the two of you, actually?
29.
28.
Okay, yeah, so we're about the same age. I mean, I'm 29 myself, so we grew up in the same eras, but
Good
the
era.
golden years, as I like to call it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that was great. That was first ever album. Can we go for first ever gig now, please?
Yeah, my first gig was Stone Sour in Bournemouth
Ooh,
when I was
nice.
12, and it was actually really sick. We met Corey Taylor beforehand,
And Jim Root.
and Jim Root.
Was-
Yeah,
Oh, okay. That
Just,
wasn't his book signing, was it?
no, our dad
No.
was like, how do I describe him? A very pushy dad. So
Yeah.
we would just
Yeah.
we just sort of loitered around the back of the venue,
Yeah.
and Corey Taylor stepped off the bus, looking like he'd literally just woken up.
Yeah.
And my dad just sort of like shoved us towards him and went, go and say hi. And we walked over and we were like, we have a picture with you. And like, bless him, like he stood and chatted to us for ages, didn't he?
He gave, there was like other like fans
Awesome.
out there as well, and that's one
Mhm.
of the biggest ones. There's always that like meeting your heroes. But
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
like he gave us a lot of time.
He was
and then
so
went
nice.
off into the Bournemouth markets, then like came back and started talking to us for hours.
Yeah.
I think Jim Root asked our dad for directions to the beach, which we had no idea where it was, so we gave him
Yeah.
a general
He
idea.
just sort of guessed.
He made it back to the gig, so that
Yeah.
was fine. But yeah,
It was sick,
cool.
yeah. And my dad like took me into the pit. Had like his
Yeah.
arm around me the whole time. Didn't let me go,
Legend.
but he took me into the pit, so that was sick. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a good story to have. Good, a nice story to hold on to as well, isn't it? That was your first ever.
Did that make you think that just meeting the band at every gig is just a normal thing?
Yeah, set my
It was growing
expectations
up.
way too high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was in Birmingham. Went and saw Five Finger Death Punch and Upon a Burning Body. Like kind of
Right.
like an entry point at that stage
Yeah.
of like some metal kind of growing up.
Mhm.
And I remember like seeing Upon a Burning Body in particular, like some deathcore,
Yeah,
and
good
just being
band.
like, what is this? And
Mhm.
like it's always been one of my things then from then afterwards, because I'd never heard of them before, of like anytime like you've got a gig booked, go and see as many of the opening bands as possible, because
Yeah.
you never know when you're going
Mhm.
to find a band that you love and enjoy. And ever since then, I then got you hooked on them, and been hoping, they haven't been to the UK in a long time, and I'm hoping they'll do a tour again, because they put out some new music recently which has been really good.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I kind of have fond memories of like discovering new bands at gigs like from
Mhm.
quite a young age.
Yeah. Well, I reckon potentially, I'm just checking now. I think I may have been at the same show as you after all these years.
In Birmingham.
Definitely. Yeah. I was on
I
the
think it was
tour
the
where
main
the
O2 Academy.
yeah.
Yeah,
At that time,
fuck.
as if at that time, my wife was like massively into Five Finger Death Punch, and we went to that, and I remember how good Upon a Burning Body were.
Yeah.
So yeah, all these years later, we were in the same
damn.
room, as if
Jeez,
That's
that's
fate.
crazy.
It's happening again.
Oh shit. Damn.
Awesome stuff. You never know who you stood next to, do you? That's the
Exactly.
thing.
You never know who's at the same gig as you.
Yeah.
Well, my first gig was Foo Fighters in Milton Keynes Bowl with probably the strongest undercard of support acts I've ever seen, with
Yeah.
Biffy Clyro as main support,
Oh, nice.
Death Cab for Cutie,
Hmm.
and a band that I think had just started out at the time called Tame Impala, who have gone on
Wow.
to do big things now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think I win the first gig. I mean, you
Yeah,
did it,
that's-
Corey Taylor.
Yeah, that's sick as fuck though.
I mean, you haven't asked mine, so mine might win.
What was yours?
Maybe.
Well, it won't. It was McFly at the Wolverhampton Civic. So
That is sick.
That's strong.
That is
Yeah.
unquestionably
Yeah.
sick.
Did you meet them?
no Foo Fighters though. Yeah.
I mean, you were more McFly growing
I
up,
like-
and
yeah,
I
I
was
love
more of a
McFly.
busted, to be fair.
Oh,
And I was
okay.
Snow Patrol.
Yeah. Quite the divisive household then. One being McFly, one being
Oh
Busted.
yeah, big time.
Oh yeah, I mean, busted were
Yeah.
better. So
Let's not start something there. No. Okay, so in linking to that then, what do you think was the best gig you've ever been to? This could be together, on your own, anything.
Can I include a set at a festival?
We can go for festival, yeah.
The best set I've ever seen was Turnstile at Outbreak in 2022. It was like, I
Just
don't
pure
know.
energy.
It was insane. Like it was at the
Yeah.
height of Glow On being like everywhere. The crowd was like just on another level. Like I've never been in a crowd that felt like that before or
Mhm.
since. So that was my favorite.
Cool.
mine, it might have been yours and I's first gig out of the pandemic. I think we had Slam Dunk first, and then we went to a gig in London at what I think is my favorite venue, which is Underworld. And it was While She Sleeps with support from Loathe, and
Oh, cool.
it was just carnage and chaos.
Mhm.
I just remember like in such a small venue, like a lovely 500 cap, like crowd surfing in there.
Yeah.
Loathe were incredible. It was like the last time I think Connor Sweeney played with them as well, which is like quite a big moment. And yeah, Sleeps have been a band that I think I've seen at least like 10 times over the years
Yeah.
now, I think.
Mhm.
After like you introduced them back to me in Sick Form, and that gig in particular, just I think back to it like the energy being in such a small place, and you look at like the crowds they play when they did Ali Pali last year and things like that, and
Yeah.
to go back in my head and be like, I was in that 500 cap room when it absolutely
Mhm.
just went off the chain. Like very special memory.
Yeah,
The-
of course. I mean,
Mum-
the growing up with bands is really special, isn't it? Like you just say, you're seeing them in such a small venue, and then did you see them at Ali Pali? Did you?
Yeah, I was there. It's like weirdly like a almost proud father moment, because like
It is,
you
isn't
see
it?
these
Yeah.
bands in these such small venues. I mean, we saw them at a venue not far from us, like a 150 cap, I think it is, or a
Mhm.
200 cap, Bullingdon is. Like even a few years before that. So seeing them in even
Yeah.
smaller places, and you see them in front
Mhm.
of like Alexandra Palace of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Kind of similarly when we went to Beartooth recently, like bands you kind of grow up with and you see them playing bigger
Mm-hmm.
venues, neck deep as well. There's like a weird proud moment. It's like, yeah, I've seen you in those small rooms and now you're absolutely killing it.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, you've
And
just
then
mentioned two of them being like neck deep.
Mm.
While She Sleeps, Parkway Drive for myself as well. And
Mhm.
I probably went to all the same kind of tours as you, really. And yeah, it is a special moment. Sorry, what was you going to say, Dan?
It makes that even sweeter as well when they've hit that level where they're playing the likes of Ali Pali and then they come
Mhm.
back to play in these small rooms again, because that's what that Underworld gig was. Like they'd
Yeah.
headlined a stage at Slam Dunk the week before, or even like a matter of days before, I think, and then they played that Underworld show as well, which I
Mhm.
think just made it that even bit more special. And my
Yeah.
main recollection from that night is just sweat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I remember like being outside the venue, taking my t-shirt off and literally wringing it out, and it was drenched.
Yeah.
And holding an ice cube to my
Yeah,
head
I
at the end
think
of it.
you
and it just
mounted an ice cube on your
melts.
head.
Yeah, because it's just so warm in there.
Yeah. Signs of a good night.
Oh hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I don't know if there's some recency bias with this, but I struggled to see past Sleep Token at Wembley in December last year. Just they're a band that I'd seen many times before, but
Yeah.
obviously we all know the trajectory they've been on, how huge they've got, and something
yeah.
about that show at Wembley just had everything, and that was the point where I was like, okay, yeah, this is something really special going on here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd seen them in January last year at Bristol Academy, for example, which is
Mm-hmm.
probably 1,500 capacity, and then ending
Yeah.
the year seeing them at Wembley, which is
Yeah,
I think
that's bizarre, isn't it?
15,000, is just insane. And they could have sold that
Yeah.
out 2 or 3 times, I think. And obviously they've gone on to they're doing a full arena tour at the end of this year with I think 2 nights at O2 Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Which but again there was something like Vessel lost his voice at one point as well.
Yeah.
But there was just something about that show that just felt really, really special and felt like, okay, they've stepped it up. They're really going to do something really, really big from here on in. It was the first time sort of seeing them fill an arena and have like a full production, full light show and everything. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get standing tickets. I was sat right at the middle at the back, which beforehand I was a bit like, oh, I'd quite like to be down there where all the action's going on. But to be fair, I couldn't have been in a much better seat really, just to be able to take in the whole room, all the crowd singing because Vessel couldn't, hearing them all crying on stage, and there was laughter, there were tears. It was just such a really, really special evening, and I can't wait to see them headline Download next year because they're going to be announced as headliners tomorrow at time of recording.
Yeah, at the time of recording, they may be announced tomorrow. I hope they are, to be honest. The one and only time I've seen them was at the Download pilot, and they played. Did any of you guys do the pilot at all?
We did
No,
not.
we didn't
How
make
was
it.
No, it was incredible. It really was. Like you just mentioned, your first gig after lockdown, how it was so like euphoric, and it was just everyone was just living the best life. The first band we saw, moving away from Sleep Token now, but I'm pretty sure the first band we saw out of lockdown at the pilot was in fact Neck Deep, I think, and it was incredible. It really was. It was just like we're back. This is it. Like
there was
let's never do that again, kind of thing.
A real like emotional bit behind it because like on its own, that Sleep Song was the first gig, but I think the first thing collectively we went to was actually the Heavy Music Awards.
Yeah.
And I remember, I want to say it was Hot Milk were on, who
I've
never listened to at any point. But I remember, I think they just started as we were getting in there and like walking in and music was playing. And I genuinely remember just like feeling extremely emotional after like that all that time in the pandemic of no music. And it like, it really like hit me in terms of like, oh, we're back and this is what I've missed. And that was definitely a weird feeling to have and very grateful to kind of be back in that scene.
I remember you describing the feeling of just feeling a kick drum in your chest again. Just was overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just those feelings we haven't felt for like 4 or 5 months or however long it was. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
That kind of feeling you can't get anywhere else. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's it. Perfect. Well, okay, we'll move on to Desert Island Discs if we can. So 5 albums, please.
Do you want 5 each, or should we do a collective one?
That's completely up to you.
I've got 5 planned.
That's fine. We'll do 5 each.
Yeah.
5 albums.
So these are 5 albums, and these are the only 5 albums you could listen to for the rest of your days if you're stuck on a desert island.
Cool. I'll say my favorite album of all time is Life Gone Wrong by Landscapes, who were like a UK melodic hardcore band from like the 2010s. I absolutely adore that album. Self-Titled by Avenged Sevenfold was big for me as a teenager, so I'd have to say that. Hybrid Theory is, for my money, one of the best albums ever made. So
of course,
that's number 3.
Completely agree. Yeah.
I really like a band called Bear's Den, who are like an acoustic sort of like folk kind of band.
Okay.
So I'll probably pick their album that's called So That what's it even called? So That You Might Hear Me, I think it's called.
Okay.
Number 5, maybe You're Not You Anymore by Counterparts, which is my favorite Counterparts album.
Some good choices. I think Hybrid Theory and a bit of Avenged Sevenfold shaped many a teenage year for all the people of our age.
I mean, I introduced him to Avenged in particular, and he played them so much that it completely put me off them for a good chunk of time, and I couldn't listen to them because it was in the house constantly.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to your I was listening to your podcast earlier actually, and you mentioned about playing guitar and that pinnacle moment of a guitar player when you learn how to down tune to a drop D.
Crazy,
and then
isn't it?
The first song you learn is, of course, it's Avenged, isn't it? And I listening to it, I was like, yeah, we lived the same years. And I'm sure so many other people did. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Not a single original thought.
Yeah. We're all just part of the machine.
Exactly. So I'm going to go with, first of all, my favourite album of all time, which is Iowa by Slipknot. I think
Right,
just
good
like
choice,
raw, strong, phenomenal album. Then like I am the metalcore guy, and I think after seeing them initially at Slam Dunk last year, I've completely fallen in love with Landmarks. And the most recent
Yes.
album, Lost in the Waves, is, I think, from start to finish, absolutely incredible. The Greatest Mistake of My Life by Holding Absence. I think after the first time seeing them live, like completely changed for me and fell in love with that band so much.
Yeah.
And obviously we've been lucky enough to interview them and stuff like that. So it's kind of just made that kind of even more special in a way.
Yeah.
Disease by Beartooth. Very strong
nice.
emotional album that I've resonated with over time, and just absolutely adore to death. And then as I was kind of just scrolling through, I was like, I want something that I can listen to again and again that's gonna like intrigue me in many ways, like in drum ways, vocal ways, riffs. And I've gone a bit left wing, left side with it, and gone Metriphagy by Tala.
Okay, it's not one
chaotic,
I'm aware of.
Oh, I highly recommend it. It's like part of the new wave of new metal that's come through, like very new core.
Okay.
Just chaotic energy. The vocal range is insane. Drum parts are insane, and absolutely love that album.
Awesome. It's another good selection.
I think I've got to go for Sleep Token, Take Me Back to Eden, just because it's just chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Perfect album. The Greatest Generation by the Wonder Years. Just my favorite band of all time. Love them so much. Their songs are so important to me and to a lot of people. I think I've also got to go for The Greatest Mistake of My Life by Holding Absence. Mainly because it's got Afterlife on it, and it's just such an important song to me and to the three of us actually. And I reckon if we're on a desert island and we've got to like be building a shelter and stuff, that song's just going to get me going. Like I'll be battling that out while I'm just knocking a tree down. Sorted. I think Opposites by Biffy Clyro. Partly because it's not necessarily my favourite Biffy Clyro album, but it's got some of my favourite songs of theirs. And it's a double album, so it's almost cheating in a way, 'cause it's getting me an extra album.
2 for 1, yeah.
And I might just cover my other music taste and have Holy Fire by Foals. Just so I've got something to chill out to a bit more indie vibe.
Bit of diversity.
Yeah.
No, it's perfect. All very good choices, I must say. Yeah. If we ever get stuck on an island together, we'll all be okay, I'm sure.
We're sorted.
Right, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad you came to join me today. When I learned that the Ragamuffins were going to be coming on the podcast, I was a very happy boy, I must say. So thank you for taking the time to join me.
As well. We were very excited by the invite, so thank you very much for having us, man.
It's been a pleasure.
I'm glad we could finally make it happen. It's been a long time coming.
It has been a long time coming. We've all been busy boys, as you can well imagine. Plug yourself. Where can the audience find you, and what have you got coming up?
Socials, we're Ragamuffins 666 everywhere. We have ragamuffins666.uk as our website, where we have some t-shirts up there and some more stuff coming soon with that. Obviously, the Ragamuffins on YouTube. We've got the podcast, we've got vlogs, we've got all kinds of content, reactions, whether it's like alternative, pop punk, metal, whatever it may be. We've got all kinds of stuff on there. We've got awards coming up. We're reaching the end of the year, so we're very much, I think, deep in the realm of figuring out Artist of the Year, Song of the Year, Album of the Year. Kind of gets you thinking about really how good 2024 has been, I think, in alternative music. So that's I think the main priority at the minute, of trying to figure that kind of stuff out and to close the year off strong. So yeah,
we've got a little Facebook group as well called the Ragamuffin Club, where we've got a bunch of our viewers and ourselves that just chat about music. Basically, the discussion doesn't stop on the podcast; it continues in our Facebook group as well.
It's free.
A nice little community in there.
It's Facebook. It's easy to join, and better than YouTube comment section for having like a full-on proper conversation. So it's very nice to see a lot of people engaging in that kind of thing. So everyone is welcome.
There you go. Go and join them. And should we tell them what we've got coming up as well?
Yes, we're going to have a perfect gig with Stu. We're going to get that all sorted out. So we're going to find out who his dream 4-band lineup is, where he wants it to be, and find out more about SMTV.
There you go. The perfect team up. What more could you ask for?
Exactly.
Right. It's been a pleasure. So thank you, guys. It's a goodbye from me. Goodbye. And it's a goodbye from Alex, James, and Dan.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. There was a little blow of a kiss there from Dan as well.
Of course.
Trash Talkin Trash Talkin Trash Talkin